Hello and welcome to PGurus channel. I'm your host Sri Iyer. Today we rejoin Rajiv ji, having talked to him just a few days ago. We rejoin Rajiv ji for a very important topic that affects both of us in terms of our reach to you, the viewer. The hack that happened at Facebook. Over 5 million users affected. It was discovered, I believe, on the 16th of September, and for 11 days, Facebook did not really have a solution. And the worst part about this is that Facebook itself does not know the extent of the damage. They think that the hackers could have been able to log in as the user, and if you are logged in as a user with full rights, you can wreak havoc. So with that as the reference for what we are going to talk about, I'd like to invite Sri Rajiv ji for our hangout today. Rajiv ji, welcome to PGurus channel.
Thank you. You are always picking important topics, and I'm delighted to be on your show always.
Thank you, sir. And so Facebook, I don't know about you, Rajiv ji. For me, Facebook is one of my most important medium through which I communicate with our readers and viewers via audio and video. And I have had some concerns about Facebook, which I'll come to a little bit later. First, let us talk about this this breach in data that has happened. Have you got any feedback from your users about any funny things happening, or what is your experience?
No. See, the thing is, just like you, my primary platform is Facebook. We are approaching 6 million followers.
Wow.
I invested most of my time, energy of social media on Facebook for the last 2-3 years. I ignored YouTube, I ignored Twitter, because you can only do so much.
Right.
And, so now I'm realizing that I should diversify a little bit. Facebook has a lot of tremendous strengths. There is no other platform like it in terms of the kind of functionality it offers. But that also, it has too much power, and you tend to trust it. You turn over all your stuff over to it. Facebook is a place where I have so much of my footage, so many of my things that are not anywhere else. We've quickly started backing up everything, by the way. We have just installed a 128 terabyte server in my office, which is duplicated in the office, and also duplicated off-site. 128 terabyte, because we have a huge amount of footage of all kinds, and only some of it has gone public. A lot of it is posted as private, and we will gradually make it public. So I am at risk if all this is vulnerable. The strange thing is, Facebook has enormous amount of money. And it's not a shortage of, it's not a poor company. Twitter is a poor company, but Facebook is a very rich company. It has no excuses. It tries to, besides being a tech company, it's also an ideological company. I don't know whether it comes from Zuckerberg. I think it does. There's a certain kind of a liberalism tilt on, and political correctness on what it thinks is acceptable. And they ban you, block you, remove posts, and all that for so-called violation of community standards. But it's not clear what these standards are. It's whatever the particular censoring person happens to think. So if you criticize something, they may ban you for being political, but if you criticize somebody else, they won't. So it's very arbitrary. And I think Facebook, the whole Facebook organization needs to be kind of reinvented, remanaged, reorganized, because they need to think of, if they're going to be passing judgment on what's political, what's politically correct, what's not, then they better make it very clear what the criteria are. So as far as the hack is concerned, you see, this is what ought to be, this kind of security ought to be getting more attention and less attention on censoring. They're putting far too much resource on figuring out whether you said something you shouldn't have said and whatnot, and in a very inconsistent, contradictory way, fluctuating from one opinion of somebody there to another opinion which is different. It's sort of all over the place, and they seem to have a whole army of censoring people, but they don't have enough people looking at the security aspect. And the second thing is, once something like this happened, there ought to be a standard, there ought to be a legal standard also, that you have 24 hours to disclose to everybody. You have to inform every one of those 50 million people, tell them what the remedy is, tell them how much data has been removed, and what the consequences are. They have not done anything. So I'm in the dark. I don't know, what we may have lost. We don't even know in whose hands it is, what they're going to do with it. So I feel very upset at Facebook. Having invested so much and being so dependent on them, I'm also very concerned.
You have really touched a sore spot. I just want to add on to a couple of things that you mentioned. First off, in terms of, ranking particular posts on a page, it is entirely arbitrary from what I have seen. In fact, I've written to some head honchos at Facebook. I have yet to receive a reply. And I'm thinking of posting my letter on PGurus if I don't hear from them for another week. And I'm going to show them exactly what I have experienced. Now, like you, Rajiv ji, I too have a Facebook page. PGurus.com has a page. And I also have a couple of other pages who really like what I write. So they tend to, pick it up and they post it almost immediately within a few minutes. Now, what we have found distressingly is that it doesn't seem to matter how many followers these pages have. For some inexplicable reason, the reach is not proportional. If you have
Yes.
1 million and the reach is 1,000, if you have 10 million, the reach should be 10,000.
Correct.
It is
Correct.
not. It's
I'll give you 2 points very concretely. One of my recent interviews is with Piyush Goyal. So they sent me a message flagging it as a political, kind of not violating community standards. It has nothing of that sort. Please watch it. It asked him whether China is a threat or not. If you can't discuss that in mainstream, I don't know what they want us to talk about. On the other hand, I did interviews with Mohan Bhagwat. They were not flagged. I've done interviews with Subramanian Swamy. I've done interviews with so many controversial persons on political matters. I've talked about racism at Harvard. That's a political matter. I don't know what is not political. If you're talking about economy, there's politics involved in the economy. If you're talking about, for or against abortion, whether you're talking about caste issues, gender issues, whether you're talking about decolonization is a geopolitical matter. So, when you're talking about trade war with China, that's geopolitics. So I don't know, and I just don't understand. Maybe there are some very ignorant people who just randomly, emotionally pass judgment and flag you. It seems that large number of people have huge authority to just arbitrarily pass judgment, rate you in some way, and that affects the performance of your post. So this is one problem.
Go ahead. Please continue.
The second problem is my Facebook videos, one particular, has been cut and paste with a distorted message and gone and reposted by a lot of people, which violates my copyright. It violates my copyright.
Absolutely.
So I have a secretary who, every time one of those is discovered, we file a complaint, and generally in 24 hours they block that person who has posted it. Sometimes it takes many days. Sometimes they don't respond, and you have to. So there is no consistency. It seems there is a policy. I have to show that this post at such and such location, such and such page, is taken from, copy pasted from my video, which is at such and such link. And you can, your software can check it and see for yourself that basically he's violating my copyright and he's distorting my message because I didn't say that. He's making it look like I said something. So sometimes they will immediately respond. Sometimes they will not respond until you go after them, hounding them for several times. They need to fix these things. They need to fix the integrity of Facebook, make it consistent, make it fair, level playing field. And this hacking business shows that they're really not vigilant even in their technology.
Absolutely. And I want to just add a couple of observation points to what you just said, because this will hopefully help us understand the issue at a bigger level. So what I'm given to understand is that Facebook has two levels of filtering. The first one is algorithmic, because they deal with millions and billions of posts every day. So this algorithmic filtering, what it also looks at is how many complaints are being received on a specific post. And I believe there are paid people, especially in southern part of India, who are constantly monitoring sites such as yours, mine, and just about every right-winger. And then they are quick to jump in, and 20 people will come and saying that this content is offensive. And when that happens, the first level filter gets triggered, and immediately you are sent a notice saying that we're taking down the page. And then you have to supposed to give a protest, or you have to challenge that, and then it goes to a manual team. Now, what I've also heard from Sri Tariq Fatah, he has tweeted about this, is that there are some filter teams that have been outsourced by Facebook to independent companies, and these independent companies are not symmetric in their approach to filtering data.
They're not truly independent. They're not truly independent. I mean, these are staffed by very biased people. I mean, there are nexuses, Breaking India nexuses that put their people into such teams and get them into infiltrate these organizations so they can have a bias. Absolutely.
And this has not been acted upon, as far as to my knowledge. This has not been acted upon. So this is still an open issue. And also, one most important thing that I forgot to mention, Rajiv ji, you said you have 6 million followers. Do you know that it is not guaranteed that all these 6 million followers are going to see your posts?
Yeah, and the other thing is, Facebook will not let me download these 6 million into a list. I would like to have them in a list so that if something happens to my Facebook page, I know who these people are. They won't let you do that. There is no official mechanism. There is an unofficial way that you can go in and start looking at one by one who the followers are and start making a list of your own. If Facebook warns that if they find out you're doing that, they will block your whole page. So they are, on the one hand, they are talking about free speech and whatnot. Then they are to contradict that, they're having all these censoring and filtering to prevent the free speech in a very arbitrary way. And then they also prevent you from taking your contact somewhere else. I should own my 6 million followers because I work very hard, and they ought to provide me a mechanism to download all that. I don't mind paying a fee for it. I don't mind paying a fee for it, but I would like to have a list. Even if not their email IDs, I would like to have a list of their Facebook IDs of who my followers are, so that in case something were to happen, I can send some message to them and approach them.
You know, it makes perfect sense. And at least for those people whose followers have exceeded, say, a number like 1 million, where it's really important to have that database. In fact, I don't know, you probably know this. You know, when a doctor retires in a small town in any place, USA, the biggest asset that doctor has is his list of patients.
Correct. Your customer list,
yes,
in any business, your client list, your follower list is a very big asset. And Facebook is holding you hostage because, you know, they're saying it's free. So everybody starts developing their whole list of clients and all that on Facebook, not realizing that this data is not transferable. So they can tighten the screws on you. You know, tomorrow they could start charging you X dollars per million follower. They could say we've got a new pricing. What will I do? If they said you got to pay X dollars a month per million followers because we are looking after them and updating the database and whatnot, you know, my 6 million followers could cost me a lot of money to pay them. And what's my choice? Think about
it. You know, Professor Vivek Vadwa once mentioned to me that Facebook has developed an unbridled enthusiasm for making money. As a matter of fact, you can pay Facebook money to make your post reach your own followers.
Right.
Which I find it ridiculous. Come on now. A follower is somebody who wants to know what I'm doing. And then why do I have to pay money to you to make it reach to my follower?
So, you know, there is also lack of transparency in these algorithms. And these algorithms keep shifting around. So it's not easy to figure out what I need to do. There's all these quacks who work as consultants saying, oh, I know how their algorithm works. And then they'll charge you some fee to try and tell you what the keyword should be. They'll say, oh, there's a magic keyword you should use. But none of that, that's all baloney because, you know, it keeps changing. Facebook keeps changing their algorithm. They don't want anyone to be able to predict their behavior because that's power. Power is, I have the authority over you, and how I exercise my authority is a secret algorithm I will not even tell you. I mean, that's how their behavior has been.
And I also want to have Facebook hopefully clarify these things via via either a post or an you know our Facebook IDs. My page is PGurus1, and Rajiv Ji is rajiv.malhotra.official. Correct me if I'm wrong, Rajiv Ji.
Right.
So you can send us private messages as to what you think you guys are doing, so we have a little bit more idea about how things are going on. And clearly, I know, Rajiv Ji, you invested a tremendous amount of time, money, and effort in using Facebook as a platform. So I think you would be really eager to know what exactly Facebook is up to.
And you know what they could do is take people who got more than X million followers and invite them into a special place, because maybe they can't handle all 2 billion people, but they can take the top 0.1% or whatever of the people with pages, large number of followers on their pages, and they could give them a special access where they hear them, they talk to them, they have a forum, they have a convention. People like me should not feel like I'm treated the same way as somebody who got 5 followers. And then the final point I want to make is, what is the Indian government doing about this whole, Indian content being censored, arbitrarily considered political or not political by somebody sitting in a foreign country? Who isn't that, when they said foreign media cannot own equity in India, it was meant to stop these kind of things. But through the social media and internet access, I mean, that's far more powerful. Foreign nexuses sitting around in other countries are able to control all of this. So what is the Indian government doing?
Rajiv Ji, leave Indian government alone. Even the US senators and congressmen have been spun a web of, do good nothing stuff by Mr. Zuckerberg. And even, I don't think they understood what he was trying to say. He said everything they wanted to hear, but he is going back and allegedly doing the same thing that he used to do before. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, but the thing is that the US authorities have the gun on his head. Indian authorities don't. US authorities may not be doing anything now because maybe, election coming, this, that, whatever. But, I'm sure there's a back channel where somebody from the State Department, somebody from CIA, some such people are sitting there I'm sure, in fact, I know this for a fact, there's an FBI office, there's a Homeland Security office inside Facebook. With Facebook's knowledge and consent, there are people sitting inside watching over some certain things. We don't have somebody from IB or RAW or somebody or Ministry of External Affairs sitting inside Facebook. So we don't have the same kind of safety net at some point. Like they at least in theory can have that.
Yeah, I would request the IT and law minister, since it is both the same person, to hopefully clarify this, because you could help. You can ask us, and we are willing to help. I live in the valley, and it's not going to be difficult for me to get in front of somebody at Facebook to explain that this is an important thing, because elections are coming up in India in December, and then the big one coming up a few months later. Also, I wanted to mention a little bit of history to our viewers. Rajiv Ji, after the 2016 elections, allegedly Barack Obama called up Mark Zuckerberg. By the way, Mark Zuckerberg was entertaining ambitions of running for the president of the United States.
Yes.
He told Mark, do you realize what you've done? I don't think you can ever run for president. Look, you won the election for Trump. These were his words. I heard it on NPR, so I'm not, this is not, that's what happened.
Right. So China's method has been block all these guys, ban them, and let them come begging, and then we can see what we want to do. And meanwhile, give the Chinese companies enough years to build up a critical mass. So China has built a huge digital economy. They've got companies that are worth hundreds of billions of dollars. The market value of some of these Chinese internet companies far exceeds any Indian company, Reliance included, Tata's included. So they built giants in the last 10 years through this protectionism. And India is very proud that we are open, we don't monitor you, you can do what the hell you want. And we are allowing some irresponsible censoring going on and interference going on, and nobody cares. I think this is a problem for the Indian government to note.
Yeah, and cybersecurity is a major issue. There was an article that appeared in PGurus today about a small chip about the size of a grain of rice that was embedded on super microcomputer's motherboard. And this chip was not in the reference design that Supermicro designed. They gave this design to their subcontract manufacturers in China, and those guys took this design and added this chip. And this chip has been snooping on every place, every network that these servers were installed in. And now servers were installed in CIA. They were installed in very, very high secure locations. So now US is screaming bloody murder, and China is very much on the back foot. So it's going to be interesting to see how things play out. By the way, Supermicro stock tanked today. And I don't know how it's their fault. I guess it is their fault for not checking what their subcontractors are manufacturing. But it is the way it is, at least in India.
Now in India, the biggest selling phone is Chinese.
Yes.
Some Chinese brands. Now we don't know what the hell is inside it. I mean, even if they say we assemble it in India, fine, we assemble it in India, but we don't know what's the code inside all the chips. You don't know. So these are risks. And it's like, you've got an eavesdropping device in your pocket. in the pocket of PM and national security people and, all kind of Indian officials. They're walking around doing these things with their phones. I mean, you do not fully understand what's the intelligence gathering capability in this device.
And it is a big concern. I hope the authorities in India wake up to this reality. And so thank you very much, Rajiv ji. Let's wait and see how things develop. Let us hope that we will hear from Facebook. And let's take things forward from here. And I'm hoping to get back with you again in a few days on a similar topic. Thank you very much.
I'm in Delhi. I just want people to know I have a family situation. I'm here for my mother. So I'm very inactive sometimes for long periods of time. But I'm keeping up with some important private meetings. So I'll keep you posted on some interesting developments that are happening here.
Thank you very much, Rajiv ji.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.